So today is Friday. I'm starting my reading log. I decided to read one volume before I head to work. This one's called Kemono Jihen. So far, I don't mind the story. It's a little bit gory, but not like over the top because the illustration is very mild. And so you got this young boy who found out later that he's actually a half human and half kimono, meaning demon. And then there's all different type of demon apparently. And so his type is called Kolar because he met this investigator who's almost like him, half human and half kimono, and he's type of called I forgot, I save. He's called Amebaki Danuki. So this is a scene where he did realize that his name, the main character, the little boy, is Doro Tabo. The investigator can tell that he was half human and half kimono because of a smell. Smell usually is a distinctive feature for a kimono. And so this investigator was in the area doing a case. However, he was actually hired by his auntie to kill him because the auntie knew that he was not a normal person. And so instead, the investigator decided to fake his death and took him with him to Tokyo. And so, yeah, I know that was a little bit fast, but that's how the story goes so far. This young boy, you know, he thought he was normal, but he's not because he was also wearing this thing called lifestone. Lifestone is usually like an object that controls the human from, I guess, transforming or going crazy, because the investigator has one also. Yeah, so far it's not so bad. I think this is just going to be all about investigating and learning about kimono and all different kimono. And he met two other teens that's around his age living under the investigator because they're also half human and half kimono. And so yeah, I like it so far. I don't mind how gory it is because it's not that super gory, like I said. And so I have volume 2 on the side, but I just wanted to read volume 1 to see how I like it or not. But yeah, I don't mind, and yeah, we'll see how this story goes. Of course, I forgot to do this, but let me flip some pages for you guys. The illustration is very simple. I like it, and it kind of just matched the atmosphere. And so yeah, I can't wait to read more. Like, I know I don't hear anybody talk about this manga, and so I think I just stumbled this in my library and decided to just grab it and, you know, see whether I'm gonna like it or not. But so far I don't mind, so I can't wait to read volume 2. Okay, today is Saturday. I finished reading Kemono Jihen volume 2. I read volume 1 yesterday. So we got this main character, Doro Tabo, but his real name is actually Kabane. So he's half human, half kimono. His type of kimono is a color, and his power is like he can regenerate and he doesn't feel pain. Anyway, he's under Inogami. He's like a special detective for kimono. And then there's other two teens that's under him named Shiki and Akira. And so in this volume, they had two other cases, but Inogami was not involved because he wanted the teens to kind of like get more experience. And also Kabane also met Inari. She's like I guess she has a special connection to the police industry, and I guess Onogami wanted, Inari to meet him. But however, Inari is kind of like a bad news. She has her own agenda, and she's very interested with Kabane's lifestone because it's very rare and has its own special abilities. And so after that, yeah, they had two cases, and then later on they made another person living in their place, which they never knew. And his name is Mihai. He's actually a vampire. So we have some vampire characters in this story. Pretty interesting. And so, yeah, it's not so bad. You get to learn, like, not just about demons, which is kimono, and then, like, and there's also vampires, and there's also monster, because one of their cases they had to deal with frogs monsters. And so that was pretty cool. Kanabi's main goal is actually to meet his parents. And I want to learn more about that too, and also learn about this kimono world. I forgot to mention another character named Khan. She's a girl. She can turn to a fox. So she's also a half human, half kimono. She was under Inari, but then she failed the thing that Inari wanted her to do. And then she showed up later on at a park and Kabani was there. And so they started sort of like fighting, but then they stopped and then Khan got tired. And now Kabani was like, what am I supposed to do now? So we will see if Khan is going to join the group because she seemed like she's being abandoned by Inari, which is very harsh. And so yeah, we'll see where her character goes. So today's Sunday. I just finished reading I also call it Dr. Grayman, but it's not Dr. Grayman. It's called The Grayman. I've heard about this through the anime. And so I was curious, and so I wanted to start reading the manga. So basically it deals with like demons, but in this story they're called Akuma, and the demons are being controlled and get transferred by this main guy called the Millennium Earl. And then you get the main character, Alan Walker. He's an exorcist, and so his job is to exorcise all the Akuma. And his special ability is his left arm. It's like his weapon to kill the Akuma. And also he had a bad history with Akuma that dealt with one of his family member and so on. And then throughout the story, he was joined with other exorcists and decided to join this group. And then he went on about maybe 2 cases. So the main common goal about this story so far is to find this cube, which was scattered throughout, and there's about like 109, and they call it the innocent. So you got this cube, but then they call it the innocent, if that makes sense. And so the first case was they found the innocent in a human's heart, and then the second innocent in the case, they found it in a clock. So far, I believe they already got 49 innocent, and there's a total of 109. And so that's basically their goal before Millennium Earl gets the hands of it, because it's a special weapon to probably kill him, because back in the days, long time ago, there was a big huge fight and they had to use the cube, which is the innocent, to kill the Millennium Earl. Somehow he's revived and back. And so yeah, so that's why you got all this exercise. And they also have a part with the exercise. They have like an assistant called the Finder. They're pretty much the one who kind of like, they're like scouters, if that makes sense. And so yeah, it's a pretty cool story so far. It has that Halloween vibe, character design, and yeah, I can't wait to read more, because I've been reading a lot of demons and exorcists, and this just has a unique plot and story. It's very different from other like exorcist story. And so I'm gonna flip some pages for you guys. I saved some like scene that I could share with you guys. It's like one of the head of the department from the exorcist group. He was trying to explain to Alan Walker all about innocent and the cube. And then here's some sneak peek as well. The illustration is amazing. It's like just out of this world. This is not the first innocent, but this was his first case, finding the innocent. So you can see this little cube, and eventually it'll become like a whole cube. And then when he was trying to find the headquarters, because he was recommended by someone. This is the headquarters of the exorcist. It's pretty funny because he had to climb that and so forth. Yeah, it's a really neat story. I like it so far. Just full of action, to be honest. And then Millennium Earl also has a group of apostles, and let me show you one of them. This is one of them. Apparently they're also called the clan of Noah. So it talks about God, and maybe from the Bible. I'm not too sure, because Noah and apostle and God. And then I'll show you guys what Millennium Earl look like. So when I was talking about the human becoming a weapon, they're called Akuma. They look like something like this. I mean, as you can see, it does look like a weapon, like a cannon. And then where is Millennium Earl? Well, Millennium Earl looks like this dude. I don't know, his his character design looks like someone I've seen before. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, he's the main enemy in this story, and they're trying to get rid of him and also trying to find the innocent. But yeah, I really like the story so far. It's not so bad. It's something that I'm still interested and want to keep going because I'm kind of curious about all this innocent and Akuma and also the main character's past. And I feel like it might become a little bit a repetitive thing where they have to keep finding the innocent, but it'll be interesting where this innocent's gonna be at, because so far it was a human's heart, and then the second was in a clock, which they never really showed how that one looked like. And so there are some parts I was a little bit confused, but I had to just like reread some part, and because there's a lot of information to retain from this story, especially because this is a 3-in-1 and there's just a lot of information they give out. And so yeah, I really like it so far and I can't wait to read more. After reading the Greyman, I just went ahead and read the Blood on the Tracks. I don't know what I just read because the ending was a big shock. At first reading this, like, oh, it seems normal, kind of like very steady to read. However, I had a weird vibe reading this because it feels like the mother and son just had a weird vibe. I just felt like there's something wrong with this picture because it seemed all happy, but no. And so you got this main character named Sei, and then Sei is very like very friendly toward his friends, and his mother is very caring, and well, the mother's been seen to be overprotected towards Sei. And so yeah, the end was a complete shock. I've heard about this manga before and I was hesitant to read it because I don't know, I've just looking at this seems like it has a weird vibe. And yeah, I was kind of right, and I never heard about people talking about this. I mean, what I'm trying to say is I've seen people have this on their collection, but like I haven't seen like any review, or because I'm pretty sure this has been around for a while. And so I saw this on my library, so I decided to pick up 2 volumes. So I'm gonna read volume 2, but I just want to talk about what happened with volume 1. As far as I say, it seems like a happy, like normal story about this teens with a mother who's very overprotected, and then one day his family and his cousin's family and the grandmas and grandfather decide to do a hiking, and the cousin, he's very kind of like rambunctious, the type of also who's kind of like not afraid of anything. And then I don't know if I should say this, but something happened to the cousin. Yeah. And so I'm still in complete shock what just happened, and so I'm gonna read volume 2. Yeah, I'm still in shock, guys. Okay, so here's some insight from the first volume. Like I said, it seemed like a normal, happy, story, and yeah, something happening at the very end. Like I said, I had a weird vibe. Like, I feel like I don't think this is gonna be a happy story, like, because even from the title. And so yeah, so we'll see where this story goes. Okay, just finished reading volume 2. Now volume 1 and volume 2, they're just super fast to read. Like, it's not very super wordy. There's just a lot of illustration showing the characters' emotion and so on. But oh my god, excuse me. I feel like every time the volume ends, something shock happens, and of course there was another shock that happens at the end of this volume. I'm in shock. Anywho, about the cousin, he fell off a cliff, which I never really mentioned. Now that I did, because something happened to him. And then his cousin Shay, he witnessed what happened, and now he's in shock. He knows the truth, what happened to his cousin, and now the cousin is in a coma. It's very terrible right now, and Say is just super confused, just kind of lost, and he doesn't know what to do, especially what he witnessed, what happened, the real truth. And let's just say the mother, she's very, I don't even know if I should even say it. Like, should I say it? Because the main culprit of this story is the mother, Say's mother. She's psycho. And if that was a spoiler, I'm sorry. I think you guys probably know where this story is heading, which I kind of told you who's the main culprit, who pushed the cousin, because the mother is psycho. And then at the very end, Say had a visitor, a classmate, and she gave him a letter. It was like a confession. The mother was also there to see what was going on. After she left, the friend, the mother was like, oh, let me see that letter. And of course, she wasn't happy to it. Overall, the mother is just super overprotective towards Say. And Say is just being manipulated by her. And of course, being the son, and that's his mother, it's like he has no choice. He has no way of how to really not control his emotion, but like, it's like he has no saying. It's like he is just stuck, and I'm sure deep inside he wants to do something, but he can't because his mother is just in the way. And at the very end, like I said, something happened at the very end. Yeah, that was a lot too, which exactly happened from the first volume. I'll be honest, when I'm reading this, I'm feeling nervous. I'm like, what's gonna happen next? What is she gonna do next? Like, even after reading this, I'm still like, what the heck just happened? And so, do I want to continue this? Because it's kind of like something that I've never read before or seen any other type of movies. I don't even think I can compare this to like a similar movie or something, but I can see why this is so popular, because it's just super intense, and it just makes you want to keep on reading because you want to know what's gonna happen. I'm probably not making sense right now because I'm still in shock. Like, this is just, I think what's good about this story is just like, get to the point, and something always like bad happen, or something surprising, or shock. I'm in shock. You probably can tell, but yeah, yeah, I'm probably gonna continue because it's like I'm already like, I need to know what's gonna happen next. And so I would recommend this. This is something you're into. It's sort of like a psychological like type of genre, and if you like something, person who's kind of psycho and yeah, yeah, anywho, I am still in shock, guys, and so we'll see where this story goes. To end the day, I finished reading Black Butler Volume 3. I've been meaning to read this because I read Volume 2 like almost 2 months ago. And so Volume 2 ended up revealing who was behind all the killing. And it happened to be the young master Auntie. And so it continues on Volume 3, finding out why she did it. And it also talks about her backstory. And then she also has an accomplice. I think this accomplice is called either the Reaper, something like that. And so the Reaper and the Butler had a fight. Honestly, the fight was kind of boring. There was just a lot of talking and fighting and talking. I was kind of getting bored. There's part of me I might drop this is because I'm not sure if there's something interesting about this story. However, there's just some part I just find it so boring, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm falling asleep sometimes. I'm not sure. Like, it has potential, and I hear good things about Black Butler, but like, there's just a lot of talking. I'm like, can we just see the action but less talking at the same time, if that makes sense? And so there's just so many like mystery about the butler and the young master, because the young master was supposed to be dead because something terrible accident happened in the mansion along with his parents, and somehow he survived that big fire. And then I want to know how he met the butler, because the butler seems to have a power and he made like a special, I don't know, contract with the young master. Somehow they're both connected for an important reason. And so that's why I still want to continue reading, even though I just find it sometimes boring. I mean, there are some fights here and there, but it's just the talking just makes me bored. And so yeah, as far as the fight between the Reaper, of course the butler won, and however, unfortunately the auntie didn't make it because she was struck by her own accomplice, because she was about to kill her own nephew, but she couldn't do it because it was the only family she ever has left. But the Reaper wasn't very compassionate, and so yeah, after all that, the young master was still in shock what happened, of course. And so the young master had a visitor and so forth, and the story ended with these two new characters. And so it's kind of like I wanted to stop reading, but however, it's kind of getting super interesting at the very end. I feel like every time I finish reading this or so, something interesting happened. And so I'm still gonna give this a chance because I do have 4 and 5 on the side. And yeah, so we will see where this story goes. So continuing reading Black Butler, read volume 4. And so I end up with the 2 new characters. They're actually foreigner from Bengal. Their name are Agni and the Prince. They're actually looking for a missing woman. And then suddenly they also bump into young master and butler. Butler's actually name is Sebastian. And eventually they're staying at the young master's mansion until they find the missing woman. And then later on they found out that Agni has been hiding a secret. He's actually working with another man apparently, and the prince may have a hunch that Agni might know where Mina is. Mina is the missing woman. Anywho, the prince is very shocked because, you know, that's sort of is almost like a assistant or a butler, just like the young master and the butler. Anywho, now the prince is just devastated, like he doesn't know what's going on with Agni. At the end of this volume, they're gonna enter a curry cooking contest. It's because there's been sort of like murder where men are being hanged in front of this restaurant. I believe it's a curry restaurant, and men are being targeted who are coming from India, and so that's a big mystery. And Agni is also entering this curry contest, and so it's all kind of like connected with this curry contest. They believe that Agni and this man are sabotaging this curry restaurant because they're also going to enter the contest. And so it's all about this contest. It's because whoever wins will have this prestigious award, and the queen is going to get involved. It's like having a 5-star award, if that makes sense. And so yeah, that's what's going on right now. So far, you know, it's still super wordy. There's just some part I find it boring, but I kind of understand that the information that they give out is, I know it's very important, but I don't know, I kind of find it boring, but it's still interesting somewhat. So I'm gonna still continue reading this and see where it goes, because especially I want to know who's gonna win the curry contest and so forth. So I've decided to just stop reading Undead Unlocked because I've really tried to really like this series, but honestly, like, I don't quite remember so many things because this is such a fast pace and there's so many things going on, and sometimes I get very confused, especially with their powers and all about this negate and undead and unlock. Actually their power is something so one of the main characters is undead, so he can never like die. And then the girl's power is unluck, means she has like bad luck. So anywho, I really tried, but maybe this is just not for me. However, I'm very interested with the anime. Maybe I'll probably like the anime better than reading it, or once I finish watching the anime, maybe I'll probably get back into reading again, maybe in the future, but we will see. I really tried and tried, but like volume 1 was very good. It was very memorable. But now after reading a few pages from volume 4, I don't even remember what happened to volume 2 and 3. And so I heard good things about it. It seems like a lot of people like this, but maybe this is just not for me. And so, all right, this morning I just finished reading Blockbuster volume 5. I'll be honest, it's probably the most fun volume I ever read so far throughout the series. There was just a lot of laughs, and it wasn't very serious because throughout the story, like, there was a bunch of kidnapping, murders, investigation, and yeah, it was kind of like it started slow, very serious, sort of boring, but now this is actually fun. This volume was a fun to read. So as I mentioned last time, they're gonna enter this curry cooking contest, and so Sebastian, the butler, is preparing and been practicing with his curry cooking technique, and then he realized he shouldn't be using those ready to go curry spices. Instead, the prince from Bengal, who's very experienced with curry, suggested that he needs to use fresh spices, and so he did. The most fun part was like he ordered so many spices, and he just got really very focused, and so he had to make so many sampler for the Bengal, because he knows Bengal as in the prince, sorry. He knows all about curry, and he knows Agni, his attendant, but however he's not with them right now, and so he knows what a good curry tastes like. And so I'm gonna show you this was really fun volume to read. And then here's a part where Sebastian made so many sampler and the prince just got tired of tasting. However, at the very end of his cooking, he finally found that special curry that has everything that you need for curry. And so yeah, that was a journey. And then the contest happened, and so eventually you got like maybe 5 to 6 contestants. Everybody did their own thing, and well, guess who won? Because it was a big surprise. Sebastian did something different from the other contestant. Instead of like your typical curry and rice or curry with seafood, he made something else. He made a curry bun, a bun inside with a curry. So that was something different. And guess who won? Spoiler. So Sebastian won because it was just so different. It's easy to eat, without using utensils and plate, and it's great for the kids. And so I'm gonna show you the curry bun. So it looks like that. It kind of reminds me of, steam bun. I'm from Hawaii. We call it manapua. So it's like, yeah, a bun, and inside it has different fillings. And so it's a curry bun. And so that was fun. So he won the contest. That was very surprising. And yeah, like I said, this was so fun to read. And let's see, what else is I kept? And then the next, event that's gonna happen is a circus. They got invited for a circus from the queen herself, and so that's gonna be super interesting. And then at the end of the volume, they're still trying to figure out who's been doing all the killing. And so I guess this detective guy was invited, and then Agni wanted to confess that he was probably a part of it, but he wasn't really a part of it, or he knows someone who did it. But anywho, he's been trying to make this confession in front of the detective, but then Sebastian keeps stopping him, which was kind of hilarious because Sebastian was like, no, you can't be doing this, because if you say something about the case, it will also involve the young master. Young master's name is Seal. So anyway, it's just so ridiculously funny. He found ways to like this. He was trying to by the window, and Sebastian's trying to hide him, so that way he doesn't like come out and confess. Yeah, this was just a fun to read. I really like this volume, and so it wasn't super boring, and it was just quick to read. And so yeah, I can't wait for volume 6 and see where this story goes. I just hope and pray that, well, I don't want to have too many assumptions or prediction, but yeah, I enjoyed volume 5. Totally fun. Forgot to share about the missing girl named Mina, and so they found out the truth why she left Bengal. So Mina was like a childhood friend of the prince Agni, and so she wanted to leave Bengal to have a different pace of life. You know, I think she just got tired of looking or taking care of the prince, and so that is why Agni was working with the man who knew where Mina was, to hide the truth, because it would devastate the prince from the truth. And so at the end, Agni went back with the prince, and now the prince decided to stay in England, I guess, to kind of like get some mentors and guidelines, not guidance, but some tips from the young master Seal, just so he can become a better man. And so that's quite funny. I really like their characters because they kind of brought some humor in the story. And so yeah, so that's what's going on, what happened to the girl, and so forth. So I just finished reading Colorless volume 1 and 2. This was quite a very unique story because you got a human race living with no color. Something happened 300 years ago. A big solar flare kind of caused a diseases to the human and also got rid of color in their life. That disease was called progenitis. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. So this disease caused the human form to kind of defect and have a different shape on their face. And so throughout the history with this disease, human are not the same actually. And so some of them wear masks, or yeah, pretty much, or they just reveal themselves as it is. And so you got the enemy, they call themselves the Orders. Their main goal is actually to get color back. At first they didn't like to bring color back, but now they have a different goal. And so it's also a race of finding particles. Particles are basically what will bring color back to the human race. And so the Order has yellow so far. You get the main character, the professor. He has particles of blue, but at least he used it for a good use. However, the bad people is using it for evil plan, as probably trying to take over and control human race. But other than that, one day he was trying to save someone, and this happened to be a girl. And in his big surprise, this girl has a normal human face, which is the girl here in the front. And then down the line later on, volume 2, he found out that she's not actually, spoiler, a human, but actually an android. And so the Orders has been looking for her because with her android body, there's something special inside it. And so yeah, at the same time, the Orders are also creating like this big monster using the particles. And so yeah, it's a very roller coaster story. I really like it. There's a lot of action, and it's super interesting that there's no color left in the human race. You just pretty much see gray, and that's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna flip some pages for you guys, and so you'll see some particle color like blue and yellow, but it's not as much. Illustration is really nice, a lot of action, but sometimes I get confused with the action because it's sort of all over the place. This is the professor's sort of hideout. This is his own particle, blue. And so yeah, that was the girl. This is the bad people called the Order. And yeah, they also bring a lot of like dangers in their area, and so they don't really care about what happened to the people around there, because sometimes they just like to cause trouble, which is kind of sad, because all they want is really control. I think that's why they want the girl, and then they also want more particles for themselves to use it for bad things. And yeah, I really like the story. I've heard about this manga by another manga reader, or somebody had it in their haul. So I was pretty curious, and I was so glad that my library has it. And so this is the scene where the professor is digging up more particles. So far he has blue, but he believes the bad people has yellow and other particle color are called pigments. And so yeah, and this is the volume they found out that the girl is not human. She's actually an android, and she has no memories of how she, you know, how she was born or created or what happened in the past. So that's a big mystery. So yeah, I can't wait to read more of that. I have 3, 4, and 5 on the side, and so I just wanted to cover 1 and 2 first. So I've decided to end the night reading one more volume of Colorless Volume 3. So in this volume, we get to learn more about the professor, that he is human, but he did something with his body that seemed like it's also made of machine. Well, he is a professor, so he's made a lot of experiment on himself. And then we also get to learn more about the orders. The order's biggest goal is, of course, to bring colors, and then they also believe in this thing called divine chroma. So they're like a religious cult, and it's weird how they want to bring colors back. However, they're using the particles for, you know, their evil plan. And also seems like even though they want to bring colors, it seems like they're still destroying like the area, and they're also controlling people for their own benefits. And so it kind of doesn't make sense. The professor realized that he needs allies because he can't do this fight alone, especially with just the 3 of them. And so he's trying to get back and contact his old colleague. However, there isn't much left of them because they're also probably been targeted by the orders. And so yeah, throughout the story there's another big fight because back in the first volume, as I mentioned, that the girls were getting kidnapped by this bunch of men, which I never really went mention. I mean, of course they were getting kidnapped by a bunch of men, but these men were also working for the orders, and there's 3 of them. And then the orders decided to experiment on them, and they became monsters, and then 2 of them passed away, and so there's only 1 left. So in this volume, this 1 left person decided to still attack the professor to basically kind of avenge his friends. And also the orders had it all planned that they needed to sacrifice 3 in order to get what they want, because it's sort of like a religious thing. And so at the end, yeah, the 3rd person did die. Now the orders are preparing for what they need, because now they have all 3 people sacrificed. And so who knows what's gonna happen? We will see. It's just so weird because like the orders was there, and then the professor and Chi, and I thought they wanted to like kidnap her or kidnap the professor or destroy him, but no, they just like took the 3rd person because they killed him, and then like they just left and took off. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. You'd think they would attack the professor or his colleague or his friends, but no. I don't know, it seems like those orders are kind of confusing in my part. And so yeah, so far I really like the story as it follows. And then at the very end, it shows that there's another person who is going to acquire another color, so another particle, another pigment. So far we saw blue, yellow, and now we're gonna see, I don't know if that's magenta or ruby or some sort of pinkish color. And so where is it? Right there. So another color appeared. All right, today's Thursday. I'm starting with Colorless Volume 4, continuing on this series. Oh my god, the ending was crazy. So at the very beginning, the professor and his colleague were just talking like, how are we supposed to beat the orders when they have so many advanced weapons? And so his colleague decided to like, hey, why not we enhance your body? Because the professor, he is human, but he has like a machine body that's been fused. And so his colleague was like, let's use your color particles to enhance your body. And he agreed, but at first, like, it seems dangerous. Well, it was very dangerous during the process because the colleague decided to go crazy by expanding the percentage. However, the rest were not very agreeable. They wanted to stop it, but the colleague decided to kind of make it worse. And then they found out later that the colleague is actually working under the orders. Like, oh my god. So after the process, the professor seems fine. Like, he seemed okay. They never really mentioned the outcome, whether it was successful or not, which was kind of odd. So after that, of course, the order had another big plan. So they confronted this guy, Mr. Zen. I think I mentioned him or not, that he acquired a new color particles. And he is also dying. And so the order wanted to sort of trade with him. Like, hey, if you give us your color particle, we'll help you live long. We'll help you cure your condition. So of course, Mr. Zen agreed. And then they made this big plan for the public to create an event for only selected winners to attend. And it was kind of weird. Like, they were selected to enter this event, but it's also an auction. Like, Mr. Zen is selling his precious treasure because it was just a whole scheme for the people to come there, because the order wanted to use these people for their big bad plan, using the color particle to kind of control them. And they went crazy. Sorry if that was confusing. So they went crazy because this color particle somehow has a way of controlling people and have them go crazy. And then, of course, Mr. Professor, they knew about it. They kind of like intervened to see what was going on. And however, one of his good friend, Mr. Covetes, I'm not sure if I mentioned him, well, he wasn't wearing his goggles, and so he was entranced by the color particle. And so, yeah, he got involved, and well, he was running to the color particle, and his body was infused with a color particle. I'll show you that, so that way it's not too confusing. But anywho, yeah, everything went crazy, and now it's just like horrible, very horrible. Okay, I'll just show you guys. So once the color particle was out, not only the people were going crazy, the freaking order was around there also. That's the color particle red. As you can see, people are running to it. Mr. Covetes right there, he's just entranced by it and has no control of himself, as you can see. And then it's like the color particle kind of like grab him, and yeah, that's how it looked like. He now looks like a big monster like that, just crazy. And that's the professor, and he's like, oh no, my friend is gone, what else can we do now? And so, very crazy. And yeah, I'll be reading volume 5 after this. I just want to take it this slow and just kind of like review each volume sometimes, because there's just so many information that I want to share and I don't want to leave anything out. And that's really my plan all the time when I do reading log, or even like, you know, reviews and my thoughts. So far, I really like it. Can't wait for volume 5 to see what's gonna happen next. So today is Friday. I actually started reading this last night, but I couldn't finish it because I didn't feel well. And so finally finished it. And so volume 5, not a lot of things happen. Only 2 big things happen. Continuing from volume 4 with the red monster. And now there's a big fight between this red monster and Mr. Covetes is connected to it. And so this red monster just sort of went crazy. And the professor is trying to stop it. And the public is just... It's just sad because the orders they don't really care what's gonna happen, or they don't care about the people around. They're very just selfish, religious cult, only care what they want and achieving their goal. And so Professor and the Red Monster are fighting. Everything kind of went crazy. And however, somehow Mr. Covetes is sort of alive, but at the very end he didn't make it. And then everything went fine after that. It seems like it never happened. Now the public are very pissed off and frustrated that a lot of dangerous things always happen. And it seems like, I don't even know if they have a government, because it seems like the orders are like just taking over and seems to be in charge and are controlling the police department as well. And so it's just sad. And then the second thing that big happened is the professor's history. So the professor's doesn't seem like he's human, but he is human. if you guys don't want to hear about this, you may want to skip it. So the professor's history is he's actually 300 years old. He witnessed the solar flare. He witnessed that everything was stripped away by color, and that the machine that he has right now has been with him for over 300 years, because before that solar flare, he and his, I guess, colleagues were doing a big research, and then they were wearing this exoskeleton, I guess, to protect them. And then that big solar flare came after, and then everything around him was gone except for himself. And then he noticed color was gone, and he was about to die or closely to dying. And then suddenly a blue light appeared, which is the color particle, and he grabbed it and kind of infused it with his body. And well, it helped him stay alive. And that is why he's been alive for 300 years, because he's been using the color particle as a way for him to live longer. And I think that's probably why the orders want something from him, probably immortality. And so that was super interesting, because the professor decided to share this story to Chi, because he was supposed to tell it to his friend, Mr. Kvedes, but he didn't make it. And so, yeah, that's his biggest secret. And yeah, that was super interesting and a big shock. And well, he is human. It's just that he's just been alive for 300 years and has been witnessed a lot of, stuff happens. And so that's why his goal is to really bring down the orders, because ever since the orders started to, use color particle for evil use, it's just not good news to the public as well as the future. And so that is why the professor is trying hard to really get rid of them. And it just sucks that there's just only 2 of them right now. And he does have like a few, there's just 2 officers are kind of like, have his back, but at the same time, like, he just doesn't have enough manpower or allies, because there was this lady who was supposed to be their friend, but she acts like a friend, but however, she's also working for the orders, because it seems like his past colleagues are either, they're gone or has been like under the orders. There's just so many secrets. It just sucks that the professor just have to go through all this, BS from the orders. And so, yeah, very interesting story so far. I'm loving it. I found out this is just a short series of 7 volumes. 7 comes out next month, July 24th, because I did some research to see how long what this series is. And yeah, it's a short series and I really like it. Yeah, so apparently my library don't have volume 6. Now I have to go buy it. I mean, I don't mind. Would I collect this? Maybe in the future, if this was, if I could get it for secondhand, because I really like the story. I mean, never heard of anything about, mankind, their color was stripped away, and, they got this sort of condition that their human form is different now. And so, like, that's really different from other stories. And so, yeah, can't wait for volume 6 and see how this is gonna end on volume 7. I just want to share this quickly. I think having all the volumes side by side next to each other are just super striking. Get that black and white feature, however, get some hint of the color particle, and so that's really cool. I think my favorite color is probably 3. I don't know why. The yellow is just super striking, and of course the 5 is just big, massive of color particles. And so yeah, that's really nice. This is something I'll probably collect, of course. So I'm gonna end this reading log. This was a fun group of manga, very versatile and different from each other. I read about exorcism and demons. You got psychological about a crazy mom, and then Black Panther, kind of finally I'm having fun with it. And then unfortunately I had to drop Undead Unlock, but I'm gonna check out the anime and see how that goes. And then we got Colorless. Just sucks that we got this main antagonist that doesn't really care about anybody except himself, and so we'll see how that's gonna end, because it's a short series. And so thank you for sticking through this long reading log. I really appreciate it, and thank you for watching, of course, and I'll see you guys next time on my reading log.